Gemara says at the end of Maseches Tanis that Kol HaMis'abel HaYushalayim Zocha V'Roa B'Simchasa, that whoever mourns Yerushalayim merits and rejoices, Zocha V'Roa merits and sees its rejoicing. The lashon of the Gemara is a little bit difficult. I would have thought the Gemara would say that whoever mourns Yerushalayim will merit to see the rejoicing of Yerushalayim. That's not what it says. It says that whoever mourns Yerushalayim merits now. Zocha is in present tense. Merits and sees the Simcha of Yerushalayim. What Simcha of Yerushalayim can there be while the person is mourning Yerushalayim? How are we to understand this Gemara, which seems to indicate that as you mourn Yerushalayim, you see a little bit of the Simcha? What does that mean? So one possible suggestion is as follows. I'll give an introduction with the following story that Yisrael Meir Lau, the former chief rabbi of Israel, writes in his book. He writes the following. He was one of the youngest survivors of the camps, and they had, after the war, some sort of a camp for people to recover, specifically youngsters under the age of 18, 19 years old. And they brought them all to this beautiful place with grass and food, sponsored by the Jewish communities of Western Europe. And these people started to begin to put the pieces back together in their wrecked lives. So one day they announced that there's going to be a whole ceremony with some of the big shots of the establishment of Western European Jewry, the people who were really sponsoring this whole camp. And they were going to come and speak to the residents. And the guys in the camp said, "We're not interested. We're not going." They harbored a lot of resentment towards the establishment, which they held could have done more to save their communities, to save their own families. Almost everybody in this camp had lost their parents, had lost their close relatives, and they were not interested in going. And they were convinced to go ahead and to sit there, and they did so. And the speakers got up, and they wouldn't even look, they wouldn't even make eye contact with the speakers. They were angry and they were bitter. Finally, a particular man got up, and this was a man who himself had, his family had also been caught in Eastern Europe, and he himself had lost his close family members. And he started to speak to them, and he said to them, "You know, I also lost my family. I can relate, I can understand." And he cried. As he was speaking, he started to cry. And slowly, as a minute went by, some of the members of the crowd also started to cry. And then a wave, all the people in the audience, all these members of this camp, they were all crying, they were all bawling. And then one of the leaders of the members of this camp, of the residents, got up to the stage and he said, "You know, I want to thank you. I want to thank you." He said, "This is the first time that I've cried in years. I lost my family. I saw terrible atrocities. And I wasn't able to cry. It was a defense mechanism. The only way I could deal with the pain was to shut off. I was dead, emotionally dead. And now that you have inspired me to go ahead and to cry, so I know that I'm alive. And one day I'll be able to also laugh again. If I can cry, I'll be able to laugh." So perhaps that's one possible understanding of this Maimer Chazal. Kol HaMis'abel HaYushalayim, a person who's able to mourn, a person who's able to feel sadness on this day of Tish B-Av, to recognize what we've lost. So a person who is able to be mis'abel, he's alive. He's spiritually not dead. There's some life here. And a person who's able to sense that he's able to mourn, he's sad, so that it's a sad day. It's not that it's not a sad experience, but at least it gives a little glimmer of hope. That just as I'm not dead, I'm alive spiritually. So I'm able to be mis'abel, I'm able to mourn, so hopefully I'm also able to see the simcha as well. When we're alive, so then we're alive to the full gamut of the religious experience. That includes both the Avelis and Bezras Hashem, also the simcha. Just that recognition, the realization that we're alive, that itself is a cause for some degree of nechama, or realizing that there will be a nechama.